What is going on, everybody? BobbyFi with my man Eric Sheets-Haber. Hope everybody had a wonderful Thanksgiving. I myself, our family celebrating it tomorrow, so it's a little bit unusual because we had a couple COVID people that we wanted to get in. They needed to do their 2-week quarantine, and the date didn't quite match up. So we're doing ours tomorrow. Sheets, you had a pretty good time over there? And we're back. Sorry, a little technical difficulties, guys. I was just asking Sheets about his Thanksgiving. We have I'm out in the valley out here, and the internet has been a little bit spotty. So sorry, and bear with us. Sheets, how was it for you guys over there?
It was good. We should just get going before.
Want to just get going?
before we lose it.
Okay. Well, let's start. Let's go game by game. Before we do, I guess do you have overall thoughts on the slate that you want to get into?
Yeah, you got to watch the injuries, man. It's a freaking train wreck. First of all, I am presuming that the Baltimore game doesn't play. But literally one by one, these guys are coming in and out of these games. John Brown was literally just announced out a little while ago. You have Miami's running game is a little bit in flux. The Chargers running game is a little bit in flux. I still have not seen Julio announced in or out. There's a lot of stuff that you still have to, and we try to wait as long as possible, right? We're waiting till Friday to start. But you are going to have to just kind of just watch the injury news and stuff like that. If we have time, I'll do something Saturday if I get more. But I will say this, that I was not particularly enthralled with the chalky running back decisions. That's the first thing I'll say. As a matter of fact, I wasn't particularly enthralled with any of the real chalky decisions. In other words, I actually don't even know what the uber chalk is going to be. I think that there's a lot of kind of suspect plays that people might end up kind of piling on, just for lack of anything else to do. And those are the plays I don't want to make. So let's go game by game, and we'll just kind of try to figure it out.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. All right, let's start off with the first one, Tennessee, Indianapolis. Sheets, it's a weird situation because this is a high scoring, it's projected it's got a big total. But I don't find myself personally as drawn to this game, especially with the ownerships. I believe that in Indy's defense, probably the only guy I'm really especially interested in this game, or have, they'll take a shot with is a little bit of Hines and a little bit of Pittman. But I don't really love the rest of this game. I know Derrick Henry's going to be popular. I think I can find other ways to go.
Yeah, here's my thoughts. First of all, I didn't expect Derrick Henry to be popular. That was the first thing I was going to say. I thought that it was going to be a lot of just a whole heaping pile of Dalvin Cook paired with one of these 5K or running backs, or maybe a little higher. I didn't think that Derrick Henry was going to get all that much, where I was going to say that he might be a good kind of low-owned play. But if he ends up being popular, then, never mind. Another thing from the Tennessee side is that we still don't know if A.J. Brown is playing or not. Right. And if A.J. Brown is not playing, Corey Davis just kind of shoots through the roof. And Corey Davis might be a good play anyway. So that's what I had from the Tennessee side. And on the Indianapolis side, Pittman has certainly kind of emerged, right? And the other thing I would say is that I am not going to play – don't look at this lineup. Okay, it's just like me screwing around. I'm not going to play Nyheim Hines. I actually still think that Jonathan Taylor is the running back over there. I just do. I mean, they drafted him as a rookie, and, he had some tough games, and then they kind of – I don't want to say phased him out, but other people were getting work and stuff. But I do think that Jonathan Taylor is the running back. And I say that because, once again, I do think that several running backs are going to get ownership, which I'm going to have to I don't want to roll my eyes at, but they're very, very suspect. Let's just put it that way. So I do think Jonathan Taylor's in play, and I am looking for running backs to kind of use. So he's definitely in my player pool. And that's pretty much all I had.
I will point out that Nyheim Hines put up 28.5 fantasy points against these guys 2 weeks ago. I think that depending on game flow, especially if they're playing from behind, you'll see a lot more of Hines. I agree with you that Taylor's the running back, but that's not the running back Rivers wants. And I know they fed him last week. That was really the first time since third week that we really got to see Jonathan Taylor out there. It wasn't even particularly effective, by the way. It's just he happened to be out there. I just think that there's enough upside at 4.6. You're talking about near minimum cost for a running back, where I'm going to definitely have some Hines, but I understand your take on it. You want to jump over?
Okay. Yeah. Okay. You want to move on?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So, by the way, a little flex, 1-0 against the spread with the Redskins yesterday.
Yeah, you nailed that one. You had strong conviction, and that was a blowout.
In fine style.
Yeah.
Very nice. And so we are going to go back. So we're going to have one more. I got one play. 2 plays. Yeah, I got 2 plays this week. One of them is in this game. I think Arizona wins by 100. I think New England's done. I just do. They had the one good game in the rain against Baltimore. I think Arizona's a very dangerous team for New England to play against right now, and I think they get waxed. So let me go backwards. So I think that Arizona is, one of the top offenses on the board this week, and you could tell me that what's his name's going to that Belichick's going to try to take away Hopkins. Good luck. Take away Hopkins, then no big deal. Then Murray just runs for 1,000 yards. But the real kind of pivot point in this game, you got to tell me how popular he's going to be, is what do you do with Isabella, right? Because Larry Fitzgerald is out, and Isabella, what is he, 3K? Yep. I mean, it's one of those things where if he goes up really popular, I don't need it. But if he's even like remotely unpopular, I mean, like, it's just kind of an elite play, right? So for me, it's all the Arizonas. It's Hopkins, it's Kirk, Isabella, depending on ownership. And if you wanted to, I mean, it's kind of weird, but if you wanted to stack this game, on the way back, you could, what I would do is, you had Myers, like, really popular last week, and Damiere Byrd got most of the targets. I think you can go back to Myers just for anti-recency bias purposes if you want to do that. Or you could go back to trying to kill Harry at 3,400, if you wanted to do that. Or, and this seems like kind of almost like master the obvious, but you could also go back to James White, right, at running back, especially since I'm looking for running backs anyway. I could stack the Arizona side, run back with James White somehow, and get that done. So that's my take on this game. I think this is and you're not used to New England nowadays being involved in these types of games, but I really think there's going to be points. I think Arizona's going to just score a lot more of them. It's one of the key games, I think.
Yeah, I mean, if Arizona plays, you pretty much know there's going to be points scored, right? We know we're going to get something out of this. Yeah. I think this is I like what you said. I think this game will be just completely unowned, in my opinion.
Really?
I really do. I mean, maybe some things will change, and who knows what happens before what other injuries come up, because, with Arizona, with Larry Fitzgerald being out, who knows if somebody else on the team ends up with it or something like that and really frees something up. I love taking a shot on Isabella. I don't think anyone's going to play him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think Christian Kirk is a better play than he was before. Okay. And I think that DeAndre Hopkins is the biggest thing this year. I don't know that I'm going to get to him. But
keep your volume a little bit. I think you keep your volume just a little bit. Your connection's fine, but keep your volume a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Sorry about that. The thing about Hopkins.
No, I still lost you. You got to do something. Whatever you did, you got to fix your volume.
I didn't do anything, but.
Yeah, I hear. Try
again. A little bit.
Perfect.
Okay.
Hello.
All right, so sorry about that, guys. A little technical.
No problem. No, I'll just pick right up. So you're going to get a James Robinson, who is going to be probably the second most popular running back on the slate, and in an atrocious game script where his touchdown equity is very limited. You know what I mean? Like, you have Mike Glennon, a quarterback for Jacksonville, and on the one hand, they do like to give this guy the volume, whether they're up or down in the game, but it's a tough spot for me to eat chalk. It really is. I don't know if I can do it. He's going to project really well. I ran 7,000 different projection models. He's going to project really well. I just don't know if I can do it at high ownership. That's just my opinion. And in the Millie Maker, I might end up with 0. And I wish I had 0. I'll end up if I use him, it certainly is only going to be with kind of my kooky stacks, around him, and that's where I'm at there. Cleveland, I also have this weird, I can't play the running game because I don't know who it's going to be. I think they're both priced. You know what I mean? But can you play Mayfield? I mean, I don't know. Maybe you can play Mayfield's like almost free. You know what I mean? Like against a Jacksonville defense who can't stop anybody. You know, I don't know, man. One thing I'm not gonna. That's I guess the best I could do. I mean, the other thing I would say is on the other side of the equation, you could get, you know, Jacksonville defense maybe in the rain at 2K against Mayfield, who can certainly, you know, go a little crazy sometimes. So I don't know, man. I think this game is a little confusing for me. I would love to not play James Robinson if I can avoid it.
Yeah, I hear you. Although I think he's going to get a ton of work. I mean, like he's not going to be like crazy popular. Like, I mean,
okay.
Nick Chubb is going to be much more popular than he is, I think.
$1. There it is. $1. We got it.
You don't think Nick Chubb's going to be more? I think he's going to be. Okay.
Nah, I think James Robinson over Nick Chubb.
Take that bet right now, but I think he'll be more popular. Okay. But I also think I actually think you can play the running back for Cleveland here.
Okay. You got to get closer again. Do the thing again.
If we're going to have guys in the mix like this, you know, on a weird running back week, I just feel like the matchup is so good. And I really feel like the Browns have figured out how to play football, which basically means we don't let Baker do anything. We let him throw for 140 yards. We run our running backs 30 times. That's the way we play football. I don't think Baker is going to be a factor in anything. It's tempting to want to take some receivers against this awful secondary, but I just don't find myself getting there. And I would side just with the running game. And I don't mind Robinson on the other side, but again, you know, look, I don't think he's like an awesome play, but I think at 15 to 20% ownership, I'll have some of them. And Austin Hooper is another guy who I just think he would be the one part of the passing game that I would probably take a shot, but the ownership might creep up a little bit higher than I want to go. So sort of a weird game, like you said. I think Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt are actually my favorite plays in the game. So that's
my only issue again with Hooper. It's not actually an issue because I'll play him in the Millie Maker. I mean, Kelsey and Waller are such freaking standouts at that position. But you could go double tight end and you play Hooper too. I mean, so that's certainly possible.
Well, you needed to go double tight end yesterday. That won the money for some people.
Sure did, didn't it?
Yep. Should we jump on to Miami and the Jets?
Yeah.
Do we get it, Sheets? Is this the week? Do we get the coming out party here? For Tua?
Maybe. But second sports bet of the week is Jets plus the points. Yeah. So Jets plus the points is my is the second sports bet, and that's it. Just those two, just the Arizona and the Jets. So with respect to who's playable in this game, so first of all, from the Jets side, couple of notes that maybe people aren't aware of that the running back who might end up being the future one day for them, Pirine, he's out, I think, for this week. So Frank Gore, as much work as he was getting already, he'll probably get even more if that's possible. He's like 100 years old. I'm not going to play him, but just something to keep in mind. And the other thing is that the Miami side of the ball, Kalen Ballage is first of all, he's questionable. And second of all, there was like something about Myles Gaskin might be able to come back off of injured reserve for this week, which I don't know if it's been confirmed or not yet. So that Miami running game is certainly in flux. And, you know, whenever you have a 7-point favorite, you'd like to kind of, and especially in a week where you're hunting for running backs, it's a I don't mean Ballage. I'm sorry. I meant the good guy is the rookie is question, right? Salman.
Yes, Salvan.
Yeah, right. He was not Ballage later. We'll get to him later, but Samad, whatever. So it is important to know.
That was because
it is important to know who. What's that?
He was on Miami before. That's why I understand where you're coming from. Yeah.
So he wasn't. You know, so the running back situation is important in the Miami game, which rates to have a very good game script for that. And again, like Tua, you know, it would also be very, very nice to get Tua wins, right? So if they're in fact doing well, I think they are going to try to establish the running game to kind of close the game out in a way, you know, I think. So I do think the Miami running game, if you could figure out what it's going to be, I think is definitely worth playing. Also on the Miami side, I wasn't getting the Tua himself, but Parker is one of my, you know, is a top play at wide receiver. And as long as we're talking about this, I would go right back to two guys on the Jets. One guy who kind of was frustrated us or more you, whatever. Jameson Crowder, would go right back to him again, maybe. And the other one is right back to Denzel Mims, who's been just fine. You know, Flacco's been, I have to say, he's been slinging the ball around, man. I mean, he put up a good game against New England. He put up a good game against in their last game against the Chargers. I don't know. That's why I think they can keep this game close, and I think that this game could be kind of sneaky. So I actually will support your Tua take a little bit. I think this game, boy, should I take the Jets? Should I just take the over, actually? I don't know. I'll just take the Jets because I said the Jets. But that would be my lean, would be Jets over as well.
Yeah, I would need to see the weather totally to get. I mean,
well, it's 65 and sunny today.
It looks like it's going to be good. Yeah, I mean, and unless anything changes, I love this game. I just want to point out the Jets have I think it's 5 times. It's either 4 or 5 times out of the 10 games they've played that the opposing quarterback was on the millionaire lineup.
Wow.
I guess it means the receivers. You had Mahomes. You had Herbert last week. You had even Cam had a monster game. Or not, was it Cam who had a monster game? They put up 30 on him. I can't remember who it was who actually did it. And then early in the season, the game against the Indy Buffalo games early in the year, where they just teed off on them. This is an awful team, an awful secondary. I actually think they're fighting a little bit harder. At least they looked like that last week. But I really, really like all parts of this game. I'm going to have Jakeem Grant and Devontae Parker are both going to be priority plays for me.
Grant.
Even if they do end up sort of going more to a running thing later on or something like that, if they're ahead, I still think there's going to be enough potential for these guys to explode early. My feeling is that Miami will want to get Tua going, and this is a great get him off spot. So I really like the passing game there. I also like Ahmed too, assuming that he does play. I'm not sure what else to do with the other running backs if he doesn't play, because they do weird things with their other guys, and I'm not really crazy about the depth chart of this Miami situation. And I don't know. I'd really need to do some digging about Perry, Laird, and Breida. And I hopefully we won't have to, because I would rather just play Ahmed. Running it back would be fun too. I think that Brashad Perryman is my favorite running back, but I like Denzel Mims a lot too. And they've sort of phased out Crowder a little bit over the last couple of weeks. I don't know that he's gonna, jump back to his 13, 14 targets. But I think if they're down big, I still think you could see a bunch of action for him, although it's sort of slanted a little bit more towards Mims and Perriman these days. But I'll be certainly mixing all those guys, and they're all affordable. Even Crowder now is affordable. I really like this stack. I'm definitely going to have it in about 20% of my lineups, or at least some form of it. Maybe I don't play Tua, but I might even play. I could see playing two spots for Miami, 1 or 2 from the Jets in a good portion of my lineups.
Keep an eye out on Jakeem Grant, recent addition to the injury report.
Yeah.
Limited participation Thursday, without being listed Wednesday. So just keep an eye on that.
Yeah, and if he's out, I think that we can start looking at Antonio Callaway a little bit.
Oh my!
I mean, look, it is what it is. Whether it's Mac Hollins or him, you're talking about.
Well, or you could then get off the really chalky, high-priced wide receivers, tight ends, and go with Gesicki also.
Yeah, I think that's probably the better move. I don't think I would really want to play at Callaway. It's like there's too many other there's too many other cheap options. You're right. Gesicki would be the play then.
All right, so let's move on. This seems to be the pretty obvious game, right? I guess Vegas at Atlanta in a dome. 54-point total. It just seems like where people would want to go. So first of all, I would make sure. Well, we're going to make sure, but Julio's questionable. Ridley's the whole country's questionable, right? So just make sure that they're playing. But recent ownership projections on Julio have him really low owned somehow. I can't imagine that being the case, but if he is,
it's probably confusing because they don't know that they're probably sort of hedging because of him. They maybe not playing situation.
I guess, but everybody on the Atlanta side, the receivers, I guess I shouldn't say everybody. I like the main guys. And then on Vegas, Josh Jacobs, and there is another one with a Q tag. Gotta watch that. And then probably, I think he's going to be more popular than Kelsey. I think that probably the most popular tight end on the slate is going to be Darren Waller. It seems to be just kind of an easy play, right? I mean, they're playing Atlanta. He's the best receiver on the team, right? So he's going to be really chalky, as is. I guess maybe this game isn't going to be that chalky because you know what? The Vegas receivers are not exactly great with the exception of Waller.
Right.
And nobody likes to play Derek Carr. But then again, you want to hear something really funny? Like one ownership rant I saw a couple of days ago had Derek Carr as like the most popular quarterback.
Yeah, I think it's possible.
Yeah.
But I don't know who they're like other than Waller. I don't know who they're pairing him with. Well, I don't know
it's probably just a cash game thing.
I actually don't know he'll be the most popular, but I think he will be. I think he'll have like he'll be like the 7 to 10% range.
Yeah, I guess so. So it's a game that's fine. Josh Jacobs, if in fact he plays and is healthy, he's certainly in the list of running backs that I would like, that I'm interested in. How could you not be interested in it? You know what I mean? Against Atlanta like that. Watch your ownership, watch the injury report, but this game is certainly up for it's certainly a game that a lot of people are going to play. I don't know how much of it I'm going to actually play. It's going to be, what do I have? Maybe 15% of it, maybe something like that.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't think that it's a game that you think everyone would target, but because of things like pricing, not exciting receivers, et cetera, you don't really have like that many plays to go to. Like there's Waller.
I guess so.
And that's really like the guy who stands out. I think all the guys, obviously, I think Ridley, obviously, everybody will get a boost a little bit if Julio's out. I like the Atlanta receivers. I would, if Julio's in, I have no problem just going right there. It's only going to be mostly Waller and Jacobs on the Raiders side for me. I'm kind of getting tired of this Henry Ruggs just getting no looks. And this is the matchup you'd think that he could actually explode, but they just aren't trying to get him the ball at all.
Yeah.
So that's the only thing. But again, one of these days he'll come out of nowhere and have like 150 yards and 2 touchdowns because he breaks a couple plays. I don't know that this is the week or not. So Aguilar, it's not exciting to play at 4.9. I think it's Jacobs and Waller, and then on the other side, Julio, Ridley, and the tight end. And I just don't know. We need to find out who's healthy, I guess, before we really make a decision.
I agree.
All right. Giants and Bengals.
Yeah. So Giants and Bengals. Who would have thought? Hold on.
Giants are.
Yeah, Giants are like a 4.5-point favorite on the road. Is that the story? I mean, like
6-point favorite.
6-point favorite on the road because Burrow's out. So, what you are going to get, like it or not, you're going to get a chalky Wayne Gallman. And I don't know, man. I don't know. We're gonna have to talk about it. The other thing that stands out from this game is that is the Giants' offense. It's Daniel Jones and Slayton and Shepard and Ingram, and I actually think they're going to get a decent amount of ownership as well. Right now, I have that game as like 20% of what I'm doing stack-wise. Starting with the Giants side, but I hope the game doesn't become way too popular. That's good. That's my best discussion. And then on the Cincinnati side, I literally have no idea who's quarterback. The coach has said specifically he's not saying who it is right now.
Right.
But it's not like all of a sudden the Giants are like the '85 Bears. It's yes, they've played hard, and this is weird, man, with football. It's one thing to play hard in games where nobody's expecting much of you, but all of a sudden, this team goes in as like a road 6-point favorite, like expecting to win. There's a little more pressure on you. And now, do you know the Giants, if they win the game this week, they're in first place in the division?
Yep.
Because of Washington? I don't know, man. It's not so easy to play under those conditions. It's a lot harder to play, a lot easier to play when you're playing at the Rams and you're a 14-point underdog and just do whatever. And, we did fine, well enough, we leave well enough alone. But I don't know. And the thing is, though, is that if you do play these Giants guys, I know that either Brandon Allen or Finley or whatever, I know these guys are just kind of the worst, but they're going to have to do something, right? I mean, Tyler Boyd, Higgins, A.J. Green. I mean, I'm actually going to have to try it a little bit. If I'm going to play Giants offense in the first place. Also, by the way, Giovanni Bernard is questionable. and I say that only because I literally have no idea who the other running backs are for Cincinnati.
I think you'd see P. Ryan in there. Samaje
Who?
P. Ryan. Samaje P. Ryan.
So you have to look at him, I guess. But I think this game is actually going to be somewhat popular by the end of the week. But I'm going to have to do it a little bit. I'm going to have to play the Giants side. I'll hold my nose maybe with one of those kind of like a safer run back. Like I guess Tyler Boyd maybe because even if the quarterback sucks, he'll look for the safest option. He'll look for the guy out of the slot. You know what I mean? So that's I'm DraftKings right now. If the slate were in like an hour, I'd probably put 20% of my stacks in Cincinnati, New York Giants.
I think it's interesting. I mean, it's not exactly the route that I'm particularly thinking about going. But I do have interest in different pieces in this game. I think, like you said, like all the receivers on both sides, in my opinion, are just cheap enough where they're tempting to take shots on. And who would you? I think for me, I always sort of side with Shepard, even though like overall, because I think he's always lower owned. But it's not really. I don't know how much it's going to matter too much. How do you feel between Shepard and Slayton this week?
Yeah, the price is exactly at the point where I'm just kind of literally like dead even with them, honestly.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of like with you. I really don't know.
Yep.
I think they're both going to be equally owned, if at all. You know what I mean? I think whatever. I don't think people are going to gravitate to one more than the other. So I really don't have much of an opinion. I mean, I'm kind of equal on both of them.
Yeah. The one guy who I don't know if you mentioned, but I might not have heard it, but I do think Evan Ingram is a really good play at tight end if you're going to get weird. If you want to skip the Kelsey Waller thing, I've just seen these Bengals just get lit up by every tight end, it seems like. So I wouldn't mind that play either. Although, again, like you said, it's pretty good. We have two pretty good options at tight end, so do we need to even go there? And then the receivers on this Cincinnati side are just like, they're just so cheap. It's hard not to want to take some shots with Boyd. I think Boyd is the preferred one, but I wouldn't mind taking shots with Higgins or AJ Green as well. But I think that mostly it would be Boyd for me.
You like it? I guess you have to like the Giants defense, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that's got to be one of the ones you play. But, all these defenses that are cheap this week, I really don't think you want to be spending money on defense this week. I just think there's plenty
definitely not.
Yeah, plenty of good cheap options.
All right, you want to move on?
Yeah, Clippers, Chargers, Buffalo. Let's do it.
So Chargers, Buffalo Braves, Clippers against the Buffalo Braves. By the way, the Buffalo Braves became the Clippers. How about that? So
did they?
Yeah, it sure did.
I didn't know. You got one on me. That's
Buffalo Braves became the San Diego Clippers, who then became the LA Clippers with the Buffalo Braves with Bob McAdoo, Adrian Dantley, what else? Randy Smith? Absolutely. Okay, so Bob McAdoo is not playing this game. However, you have probably one of the best games, both games-wise and I think fantasy-wise. First of all, it's a 53-point total. Before they announced that John Brown is out, I had Buffalo as my top exposed team on FanDuel. I just thought I'd let you guys know that. And actually, the Chargers were like my fourth best on FanDuel. So on FanDuel, for some reason, like that game's a huge game stack for me. Now, in the past hour, or whatever it is, John Brown's been ruled out, which all that means is that, well, not all it means, but one of the things it means that Stephon Diggs is even more of a really good play. And also, he's not usually your type of guy, but Cole Beasley, it becomes more in play. And not lest I forget, I mean, Josh Allen is, a tremendous play as well. The Chargers are really, I mean, they gave up points to a lot of bad teams. They gave up points to Flacco last week. You know what I mean? Like they can give up some freaking points. And on the other side of the ball, Herbert's been doing it, man. Now in fairness, again, he's been doing it against not maybe the greatest teams, but I think that Buffalo is a 6.5 point favorite. It provides a nice game script for Herbert to always be kind of throwing. So I think this game stack just totally makes sense. You can play Allen with, and like we said before, you've been kind of pounding it to me all year that you don't want to go too crazy with all the receivers with these running quarterbacks because you want to give yourself the upside for the rushing touchdown as well. So maybe just, Allen with Diggs, just for example. You know what I mean? That would be the chalkier of the two. But you go Allen with Diggs, and then, if you want, you can run it back with Keenan Allen, who averages like 700 fantasy points a game. Or you want to go, if you're going to go chalkier Diggs, you can go lower owned Mike Williams, right? So I think there's a lot of points going to be scored this game. I think that there's a lot of fantasy points that can be scored this game. With respect to the running games, I don't think I played a Buffalo running back yet this year, so I'm not going to.
Yeah.
With respect to the Chargers, again, I don't think that it's the game script for them to get their running game going. Balaj, as I mentioned earlier, is questionable, and also Austin Eckler actually practiced yesterday, I think, for the first time in a while. So I don't know what's going to happen with the running game, but I don't think that that's the way to go here anyway. I think that you go with quarterbacks maybe on both sides and receivers on both sides.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. If somehow Eckler was somehow going to be able to play, I wouldn't. I don't understand why we're calling him not they have him listed as out most places, but if he's practicing, why wouldn't he play?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I actually think I'm going to treat it like that, and I'm actually going to put Eckler, if he does play, as a guy who I will take some shots with, because I know they mix things up at running back on the Chargers. They'll do it less when Eckler's in the game, especially with Balaj and Jackson out. If all those guys are out, I think that you should probably look at Kelly and Pope. And we're going to try and do some digging, because I just think at minimum cost that there's just going to be plenty of opportunities, and Buffalo can get torn up on the ground. I also think that I will play this game, but I will skip mostly I'll skip Keenan Allen mostly. I know that sounds like a scary thing to do, but he's the guy who I might be looking to fade. I actually think the one-on-one coverage for the primary receivers from Buffalo has been pretty good. I mean, we have White, who's actually a really good corner, and the same thing on the other side for the Chargers. They've been really good against number one receivers as well. So, but Diggs is going to make up for it in volume there, and Keenan Allen very well may as well. But I think that if you skip those guys and play the Mike Williams, maybe Cole Beasley, it feels uncomfortable to say that out loud. But that would be a way I would consider going. And my favorite play on the Chargers side is probably going to be Hunter Henry. Buffalo, another team that's just been torn up over the middle and just leaking points to the tight end position. Again, you said it, you hinted at it early on. Maybe it is a 2 tight end week. I know that's weird. We don't like these running backs. We've got tight ends with a high ceiling with the expensive guys, and we've got tight ends that are maybe got a pretty good ceiling that are down in the 4K range. So I think I could see myself playing Hunter Henry here too.
I got one other question for you. With John Brown out, I'm gonna compare it this way: who is a better play, Gabe Davis at 3K or Andy Isabella at 3K?
So I think Gabe Davis is as the higher. I don't know actually. I think Isabella's ceiling. It's not even that his ceiling is higher; it's that his ceiling is so gettable from just a couple plays.
Okay.
I like Isabella better, but I did think about Gabe Davis too. I just I don't know where I stand on that one. That's a tough one actually. I both of them are fine, but I think I'm inclined to go with Isabella more.
Okay. Want to move on?
Yep.
So with the different stacks that I'm kind of considering, I mean, not the Buffalo one, but like if I'm going to play like the Giants or something like that, I'm going to be able to play Dalvin Cook without a sweat, and he certainly is in the best spot, I think, of anybody. I don't understand this line at all, by the way. It's the only reason I don't say, by the way, that of course Minnesota's like a lock here. It's just because the spread just seems so low. I'm just kind of suspicious by the whole thing. You know what I mean? So that's why I'm not even going to comment on this. I mean, Carolina still has the backup quarterback in, right? And they still have no Christian McCaffrey in Minnesota. I don't know. So for me, it just it feels as though Minnesota just rolls them over. But what the hell do I know? Vegas has to know something more than I do. But Dalvin Cook is the best.
If you want another $1, I'll take Carolina in this game to cover.
That's what I'm saying. I'm suspicious, so I don't like it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I'm not doing it. The reason why I liked the Redskins yesterday is I had no clue how anybody could take them. So that's why I took them. You know what I mean? Like here, I don't get this game at all. But from a DFS perspective, I mean, Dalvin Cook's the best, raw point play on the slate, and you could probably get him in. with the other value that's opened up. I mean, these 3K receivers, Denzel Mims. There's a lot of guys that can allow you to get Dalvin Cook in. I don't know yet if Adam Thielen is playing. If Adam Thielen is not playing, then obviously Justin Jefferson becomes, I don't want to say a great play, but becomes a very popular play, that's for sure. And he might be popular anyway at 6,300.
Yep.
Yeah, he's a good play. I have no problem with it. I don't think I'm going to. And again, what I think I said last week, the week before, was that you had a really popular Dalvin Cook, so why don't we just play the Minnesota receiving game as kind of a pivot off of that? I don't know why that feels wrong this time.
Well, we don't really have that's the problem. We don't know about Thielen, and if Thielen's out, Jefferson is going to be mega chalk also. Like cash games are going to have Jefferson and Cook in their lineups.
That's true.
Right? So
I mean, to finish it off. So I do like Dalvin Cook. I don't think there's like a way that I play the Minnesota receivers. You know what I mean? I just don't. Not that they're bad plays, but I think they're just going to be too chalky for me. And on the Carolina side, just a little disclaimer. They're actually my 5th or 6th favorite stack on FanDuel, Carolina. So they're definitely going to have a good game script to work with. Well, not to say definitely. Again, it's only 3.5, so maybe it's not such a great game script. But the quarterback is probably very cheap there. That's why I have him there. And also the receivers, Robbie Anderson, Samuel, DJ Moore, the same dudes. So they look fine for me. I'm not going to play Mike Davis. Not interested in that. That's kind of where I'm at. You have any interest in this game or nothing? Or where are you? Wait, lost you. Get closer, maybe? No, hold on.
Sheets, with all this stuff that you're saying, you're counting on Bridgewater playing, right?
No.
I think he's going to play. I don't see any reason.
Oh, I wanted the other guy. I wanted the PJ guy.
You wanted PJ. And by the way, I actually kind of like PJ Walker. He did some good things, but
that's who I wanted. I got to look at it again.
Wait, let me ask you, what's wrong with playing Bridgewater here?
Nothing. I didn't even think about it. I really thought it was going to be PJ the whole time.
I like Bridgewater actually, and I like the stack a little bit.
No wonder it's only 3.5. I guess that's the answer.
Yeah, that's definitely. But although they did win their one game without him by 20, so.
Well, there it is. Full participant Wednesday session. Okay, this is why it's 3.5, right? Fair enough.
Yeah, but I'll go right back to Curtis Samuel. Look, the games with that, this is not a fluke entirely. The games where they don't have Christian McCaffrey, they use him on these short little intermediate routes that actually kills a little bit of Mike Davis's upside. You notice that Mike Davis doesn't get the targets, obviously, that McCaffrey does, but you know who does get those targets is Curtis Samuel.
Yeah.
And they look for him near the goal line all the time. What else do you want for 5,100? So Samuel's is a guy who I would want to get in. DJ Moore is the other one. I'm not touching Robbie Anderson. You know my feelings. I don't play him very much, even though he's had some targets in some of these games. For him to get in the end zone, he has to get totally behind the defense. And these little, I don't know. If I'm going to play somebody at this price, I'll play the Jefferson and DJ Moore guys instead of Robbie Anderson. I'm just not going to play him. But I do love the other two. And I think Mike Davis is blah. And I'm with you on Cook. I think that you just eat the chalk there. And I will play some Jefferson if there's no Thielen, because I love Jefferson in general. And actually, if there is Thielen and it lowers his ownership, I'll just keep going back to this guy over and over again. I think he's a superstar potential.
All right. Baltimore, Pittsburgh. Please just don't play. I mean, I just don't want them to play. I don't want to have to deal with it from a fantasy perspective. I just don't want to have to deal with it from an NFL perspective. I think it's a disaster. If they play, I don't know. I guess Pittsburgh defense, I suppose. I wouldn't play anybody on Baltimore. And then I guess the Pittsburgh receivers, I suppose, to get some touchdowns. I don't know. I think on principle, I might just avoid the game. I don't know. You like anything from here?
Not especially, but I wouldn't mind taking a shot on one of the Pittsburgh receivers if they were everybody's healthy. But in general, I don't really have a ton of interest in this game, and just doesn't make enough sense to me.
Okay. You want to move on then?
Yep.
So why don't you tell me on New Orleans, Denver? Because I came up with nothing from this game also.
I think you're going to get an incredibly, assuming that they play, I think you're going to get an incredibly low-owned Michael Thomas and a fairly low-owned Alvin Kamara. So just on ownership alone, I have interest right there. Michael Thomas could actually end up being like, why aren't we playing? Like, I just feel like at 7,400, like this just feels stupid. I mean, this guy we've been paying
Right.
9K for a couple of years, and even without Breeze in there, I mean, I actually think Breeze being out might have even helped him. I mean, Hill was familiar with him. He targeted him 12 times. You know, had 9 catches for 104 yards. Didn't get in the end zone, so only had 22 fantasy points, but that could easily turn into 30 plus. So I really like, and as Denver's got a good defense and they've been good at home, but they're not unbeatable, unflappable. Like, you know what I mean? They're not anything to be too afraid of. So Kamara and Thomas are the guys who stood out to me. I don't really have any interest in anybody on the Denver side of the ball.
What do you think? I'm going ahead now, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
What do you think of the of the game, the Rams Niners game?
Feels like a stay away to me.
Okay. I mean, you mean I don't mean fantasy wise. I just mean like the game. Like, what's your opinion on like the Rams?
I think the Rams are so much better of a team at this moment than the Niners are. I would just, unless somehow, I mean, no. I just think the Rams defense is going to dominate this game.
Okay. All right. I'm coming up with the Rams on DraftKings. No, yeah, I'm coming up with the Rams a little bit on DraftKings and also on FanDuel a little bit.
Yeah, the pricing on Kupp and Woods is too low.
Yeah. So I'm probably going to play some. So I'm going to play those. I'm going to play those guys. The only thing is that number one, they have other guys they can get it to. You know, I know they're definitely the main guys, right? But you know, Reynolds gets targets and Van Jefferson, as we talked about last week. I mean, he got some targets and the tight ends can get there. And the other thing again is we also have seen just kind of like low key McVay is like the biggest nit in football. You know, like he's like he like sits on leads. He like plays for field goals when they're ahead, just trying to whatever.
What he does is he chucks it though.
I understand, but in the game against Tampa, which I was watching intently, Tampa could not stop their passing game at all, and then all of a sudden they decided to just freaking cram the ball in the middle, and then they kicked a field goal on like 4th and 2 from the other team's 25 or something, like the tie game or something.
Yeah,
it's like 10 minutes to go. It was so okay. With that said, like you said, Woods is cheap, Kupp is cheap, and I'm probably going to play some of them. San Francisco, once again, I don't know like where they're at yet. With like is Deebo Samuel back? He's limited on Thursday, which is a good thing, right? So he could come back. You could maybe, you know, again, this is if you want to play a Rams stack, right? I wouldn't play these San Francisco guys like on their own, but if you did want to play these Rams guys, I guess Deebo Samuel would be the guy I would play. Let me just look again. Let me see all these. Mostert, he's day to day. That's better. Wow, if he plays Sunday, that could be interesting. 5,600. I don't know. Maybe that. I'm not playing Jared McKinnon. Tevin Coleman. Maybe you're right. Maybe the game sucks.
I think the Rams are the best defense on the board today on this.
Oh, awesome. Okay.
I mean, look, no, let me rephrase that. If Pittsburgh doesn't play, the Rams are the best, you know, just raw points, in my opinion, team on the board. This defense is absolutely no joke. And that's one side I would lean in this game. I didn't have the same takeaway from the Monday night game because I really felt like McVay was trying to, like, just keep him honest enough with the running game. I think they ran it 18 times. And between Kupp and Woods, they had 28 targets. And that's not like an outlier performance. That happens all the time with these guys. Okay. And, you know, two weeks ago, Kupp had 20 targets. Woods also gets work in the running game sometimes. So I'm not going to go crazy with it, but you will see one of either of these two guys in a lot of my lineups. And if you just did a little game log watching, you can pretty much find out that about 70% of the time, actually higher than that, almost every time, one of these guys puts up over 20 fantasy points and often significantly over. And at these prices, that's fair for me. I know the Niners defense has got a good reputation. This is not the same Niners team that it was last year, and they're not going to be able to move the ball, in my opinion, on the Rams. So I like playing those guys. I'm not going to play Jared Goff or anything, but I do like Woods and Cup both quite a bit. Probably skipping Josh Reynolds this week. I also think on the other side, I need to figure out the who's playing for the wide receivers. I'm a big believer in general. Brandon Ayuk is an awesome receiver. He's the only one
I agree with that.
I really feel attached to. I do think Richie James we should probably consider a little bit.
Oh yeah, I forgot about
we're talking about, when they had these guys out a couple weeks removed from a 13 target, 9 catch, 180-yard touchdown performance for 36 fantasy points. Like, I mean, just having flashed that upside once alone is enough for me to take a shot.
Hey man, it's 184 yards. No matter how that's a legit game, man.
That's a monster game, man. All right.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? This is one of the first week in a while we don't have a good afternoon slate, really. You know what I mean? Like we've had these great 5 to 8 game afternoon slates the last couple of weeks. It's been pretty sweet.
Well, if you say so. And now at
we've got a great game. We've got a great game. Go ahead.
Now at 425, you have a 56-point total, with a 3-point spread and a lot of intrigue, right? Is Tom Brady done? Is Antonio Brown back? You know what I mean? Like, there's a lot of cool stuff in here. This is a good game. So just for fun, I mean, if you decided, and look, all these guys on Kansas City and Tampa, I mean, they're all going to project for a good amount of points, right? So if you did, Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, right, and Antonio Brown, the problem is that you got to play 4 other guys or 5 other guys. So you're left with 4,300 per position. And even if you go like Jacksonville defense at 2K, it's not going to be that. I mean, you could play like Denzel Mims or Isabella or Gabe Davis. You certainly can't play Dalvin Cook. I guess you actually could, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it does eat up a lot of your salary to play these guys, and that's the impact of this. You could do it though. Like, in other words, like, there's not any game that really was like, oh my God, this is totally going to blow up. But I do think that between all the games we mentioned, I think that at least one of them is going to keep pace with this game. I don't know why I think that. And given the fact that the salaries in those other games are just much cheaper, I might have some of this, but I'm not going to have that much of it. That's just the way it's going to be. I'm going to be sitting there rooting, for my winnings to kind of hold probably, and just hope that somehow Tampa Bay plays a better game on defense. And even if, look, you can't stop Kansas City, right? But maybe they make them take 9.5-minute drives, and I get lucky and Allaire gets a touchdown or Hardman gets a touchdown, and the game doesn't completely blow up in my face. I actually, on the Tampa side, it's even harder, because I don't know who I would take. Like, look, you could say what you want, but Evans or Godwin or AB are all good plays.
Right.
But yet on the other hand, Brady does like to spread the ball around, so it's hard to tell which one it is. But I guess being on brand, since we talked about this for the last 3 weeks, I think an AB would be the way I would go if I was going to take one of the Tampa guys.
So you watched that game, the Rams game, right? I felt one thing I felt completely convinced of is that the load, and I did play AB in I played some pretty good amount of lineups, but I played AB in all my big buy-in lineups as the captain. Now it didn't work out because Cup and Woods and everything, but the opportunity was certainly there for him, man. Just on the PPR part of it alone, you're going to get probably 7 to 10 catches from him in this game, because this is going to be a faster pace game too. And he comes down with that one big play where they went for him deep, and he probably should have come down with it. Maybe it's a different story for us the other night. I'm going to side with Antonio Brown ahead of these guys, but I don't mind any of them. I just want to say, like, I don't think these teams are like close. Like, I think it'll be billed that way. I think people talk about it. Kansas City is just in a different stratosphere than Tampa Bay, in my opinion. But they don't have the kind of thing that gives Tampa Bay trouble, which is their pass rush has been iffy. They haven't been great defensively overall. So I actually feel like Tampa Bay should be able to get some points up on the board in this one. But I outside of Antonio Brown, find myself having like interest in anyone else. And then on KC, it's basically the same as always. I think that probably Tyreek Hill is a higher priority for me than Kelsey this week.
Yeah.
I know Kelsey wins the position overall by so much in general, but this is not like a great matchup for him. And we like a lot of other tight ends. I prefer Waller. So I personally would like to play Tyreek Hill a little bit more this week. And I think he has a great chance to get behind the defense here at least once. So I actually think that Sammy Watkins coming back and having their full range of all their receivers will actually help Tyreek Hill. And they've been, I mean, talk about a guy who's getting targeted. His last 2 games, he has 32 targets. Like, that's crazy. So I think we have to just keep playing Tyreek Hill at 7,800. I'm interested to see where the ownership ends up, though, because if Tyreek Hill is like as owned as Keenan Allen, then maybe we should change it up a little bit. Or if he's as owned, or if he's 4 times as owned or 3 times as owned as DeAndre Hopkins, I think we need to start coming off of it a little bit.
I agree with that.
But all right, so do you have a big take this week for the spread? Or is it the one you already mentioned?
Yeah, I like Miami, and I like Arizona.
Yeah.
But what's your like right now? Like I said, if the slate started in an hour, like knowing what you know now, where would the majority of your ownership be?
I'll just read off my favorite plays because right now I'm having trouble finding. I don't love some of these game stacks the way that I should, and I'm going to need to find a way to love them. I understand the case because the ones that are going to be like Buffalo, LA, and KC, Tampa Bay, and along with maybe Tennessee, Indiana, or Indianapolis are going to have more ownership than I want. And the funny part is the Raiders in Atlanta I don't think is going to have that ownership. So if there was one to stack, I would go actually towards that game and swallow and just play Nelson Aguilar a little bit and Henry Ruggs a little bit and try to play obviously Ridley or Julio depending on who's playing, or even going down to one of the other guys. One thing that we should note about Atlanta, which we didn't mention, if Julio is out, we have the Zacchaeus situation. When we had that happen before, just because he had put up 23 fantasy points and he's 3,800. If we have no Julio or if Ridley's out, if whatever happens with these guys, I think we have to at least look at Zacchaeus, and I didn't mention that name before. But my favorite overall plays in the slate, I'm just going to, they're all over the place in different things. I like Pittman, Parker, Grant. I like Tua in that game. I like Miami's side of that a lot, as I mentioned before. Ahmed, obviously, on the other side. I wish I could like the Jets a little better, but I will take shots with Mims and Perriman. So that might be the actual answer to your question. Darren Waller is going to be my highest owned tight end. I love Austin Eckler, assuming that he plays, if he does somehow get in this week. Tyreek Hill, Dalvin Cook, Curtis Samuel, DJ Moore, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, Woods, and Kupp. Those are the guys who, if I had to, I don't know where they're going to end up being, but all those guys should be about over 25% of my lineups. Maybe.
I'm going to do my summary this way. So I thought I did a good job. I made like a note of like all the guys I kind of wanted to get to, and I got to most of them. So I'm going to go through my highest owned stats like as of now, and just touch on 1 or 2 guys I just missed, and it wasn't that many. So we're just talking about DK for a second. So I like kind of like the same, like the Arizona, Tampa, Rams, Atlanta, and the Cincinnati, New York Giants on DK. I didn't have as much as the Buffalo game on DK for some reason. And since they're going to be high owned, that's fine by me. With respect to the plays, like I encourage you to go back to what we talked about with the running backs. I got to literally everybody I wanted to talk about. Tight end, we did everybody. Wide receiver, yeah. You mentioned Pittman and all the other guys we discussed. So I think we pretty much covered most of it. I will say again, I'm getting into this idea that if you fade both of those tight ends somehow, and you could beat their scores, that's be really, really. I don't know how you're going to do it though. They're both in such great freaking spots. But yeah, I think that Dalvin Cook is the best play on the slate, and but he's going to be highly owned. Again, I'll just rely on what we already talked about. I guess Arizona would be my hot take, I suppose. If you tell me that not many people are going to be playing them, there would be my top stack, I guess, relative to ownership, probably.
I can get behind that. I like that, Cheats. I think you're going to be really, really alone doing that. I don't think people are going to do that.
Okay.
So I like that. I also think that you know what we touched on about the Carolina Minnesota thing. While Minnesota is clearly going to have a lot of ownership, I think we can really play these Carolina guys because the pricing feels uncomfortable for more and compared to some of the other guys in the same range. I think for other people, but I think that's another spot we could attack.
All right, we're ready to kill. Watch the
Right, guys.
injury reports.
Let's do it.
Let's have a great Sunday. Look, we need to. I always have the big wins the week of Thanksgiving. I haven't had mine yet.
Oh,
so
let's do it.
It's time. And me,
Yeah.
or at least one of us is coming with a top 3 finish.
Dude, you feel it coming, by the way. It's right around the corner.
It's coming.
NBA season, I mean.
I know. Oh, no, I know. I'm excited about that. That's
Let's
the
go.
best birthday gift I could ask for.
All right.
All right, man. Hey, for Sheets, for everyone out there, we'll see you at the top of the leaderboards. We hope you have a wonderful Thanksgiving weekend. And Sheets, anything to leave us with before we sign off?
Nope. Let's get them.
All right, let's get them this week, guys. We'll see you at the top of the leaderboards.
See you later.